Y'all ready to be history?
Get started.
Welcome.
Hi.
Hello, everyone.
To the Pro Audio Suite.
These guys are professional. They're motivated.
With Tech to the VO stars. George Whittam, founder of Source Elements. Robert Marshall, international audio engineer. Darren Robbo Robertson and global voice. Andrew Peters, thanks to Tribooth. Austrian Audio, making passion heard. Source Elements. George the Tech Whittam. And Robbo and AP's international demos. To find out more about us, check theproaudiosuite.com.
Line up, ladies!
Here we go.
And welcome to another Pro Audio Suite, thanks to Austrian Audio, making passion heard, and Tribooth. Don't forget the code TRIPAP200. That will get you $200 off your Tribooth, and don't forget the Tribooth memo. Now, you've gone back to your roots, George, doing a job that you haven't done for many years.
Yeah, well, at least one set of roots. I'm a weird looking tree, dude. I got roots poking out all over the place. But so a client of mine, Ariana Ratner, daughter of Bill Ratner,
I was going to say,
for many years. Yeah, so her husband's a director or DP or something, and they worked on this PSA, and there was a rewrite, and so they had to record a bunch of VO lines, wild lines, of the lead actor who does a lot of it on camera and then a lot in voiceover. He's on both. It's both. It's sort of like the vein of a David Attenborough nature show, except it's about the dangers of e-bikes.
Oh.
And the fast, high-speed motorcycles we have now riding on the bike paths in Santa Monica and Orange County and Venice. And these things are doing 40 to 50 miles an hour on walking paths.
Yeah, some of them don't even have pedals, I think. And then there's starting to blur the line between a motorcycle, yeah.
Right. So they hired this great, interesting actor who I'd met, but it's because his life hasn't really been about in front of the camera, more about writing, named Gavin Scott. And he was a really interesting fellow. And if I've said his name wrong, I apologize, Gavin. But anyway, the actor was a really interesting fellow, and he lives really close by. And I went to his house to record wild lines, pickup lines. And I was like, at first I was like, I don't do this anymore. And, this is not, my rate. And they were like, oh yeah, I can't pay you that technician's rate that you charge. And I was like, how about we come up with a rate? Why not? Let's do it. Because it was the day, they needed it the next day. It was time sensitive. It was a PSA.
It's nice to have some variety of work too.
Yeah. It was cool to actually I literally had to put together a kit. I threw up a little video on my Instagram on George the Tech, and you'll see it if you want to see it. But I had to build a kit. It was either that or show up with 5 tote bags of crap, which would have felt really, really, really unprofessional. So I had a Pelican 1510, which is like the classic carry-on sized Pelican case with the handle that pops out and the wheels. And I've had this case forever and ever. And I just dumped everything out of it. I had stuff all over the floor, and I just started putting pieces in. So I managed to fit literally everything I needed into that case, including my MacBook Pro, audio interface, microphone, mic stand, mic boom, everything I was able to fit into that case, which I was kind of proud of. I thought that was pretty cool. And anyway, I packed along a Centrance MicPort Pro as a backup recorder. But my primary ended up actually bringing was the PortCaster, not the Passport. And the reason was I wanted to have that onboard recorder for this particular use case because I'm out of practice at doing this stuff, right? And last thing I wanted to have happen was to botch it, really ruin the recording, do something wrong, lose a file, God knows what, So being able to just hit the little tiny record button and the little red light turns on and that's just rolling. And meanwhile, I'm on my laptop sitting right next to them. Like the director is sitting between me and the actor. The actor is sitting on his couch. We found the quietest room in the house and it had it was perfect. Plush carpeting, bookshelves. It was like really like ideal,
If I may ask, it was a voiceover gig, right?
Well, yeah. So it was pick up wild lines for a voiceover of a PSA where the actor is also on camera, both.
But so the actor's on camera and now you're recording them in a different environment than the original.
Right, because the film is it's cut together between voiceover and on-camera lines.
So now it's on camera, voiceover in a voiceover booth, and off camera in a different room?
I don't know if they recorded his voiceovers in a voiceover booth. I don't know if they recorded them on location. I don't know anything about how they recorded the original
I'm just curious
lines.
why you didn't say, "Hey, I got a freaking a brick over here, a voice."
Well, that's another part of the equation. The gentleman had just broken his leg and was recovering from surgery, and he really didn't want to leave his house.
Gotcha.
If he didn't have to. So he was doing pretty well. Apparently he was getting around, he was walking and he was actually pretty fair shape, but that was the parameters, so we're like, This is the reason why we want to have someone come to his house. It's not a job you're going to get falling into your lap every day. It's rare, these kinds of scenarios come up, but it was fun to do it. I had my Rode NTG4. That's what I ended up bringing, and it worked great.
Okay.
Once I turned off the low cut filter because it's much too aggressive.
Yeah.
It really takes out too much.
Why not the 5, out of curiosity?
I couldn't find it on the clutch. It must be in one. I have too many cases of things. I couldn't find the 5.
I think the 5 sounds noticeably better than the 4, I do think.
Yeah, I think so. I even had a 416 sitting in this booth in here, but the 4 was right above me on my boom over my desk. I was like, click, just took it off the ceiling, And I took the boom that was up there too and brought that with me. So I really had to cobble it together because I don't have a proper boom arm anymore for doing location record. I don't have a C-stand. I don't have a nice mic studio boom. I don't have any of that stuff. So I really cobbled together this kind of ragtag setup, but really did feel like I was going back to my roots because when I first started production mixing in Hollywood, literally 21 years ago, my boom pole was a paint pole from the hardware store that I spray painted black.
Right. Oh, really? And then you just like somehow rigged a mic clip on the end of it?
Yeah. Yeah. I rigged like a 5/8 threaded thing that, you ever seen those metal brackets that let you add a second mic to a mic clip?
Yeah.
Yes.
For like stereo pair.
Yeah.
I just clamped that onto the end of the paint pole and boom, now I had a mic boom, and the people that were hiring me at that stage of the game were low budget film, really low budget student, and they didn't care. They didn't know anything. They just knew that I was going to show up with a mic with a boom, And
what was your recorder? Or were you recording straight into a camera?
In that era, I will tell you, my very, very first kit working in the field was a Grace Audio Designs it was called what the heck was that preamp called?
The Lunatic?
The Lunatic.
Yeah.
So I had a Lunatic V2 mic pre, which had the distinction of also being 12 volt powered because it was a really popular field pre for DAT heads. And DAT heads were the guys that were recorded all the Grateful Dead shows. Have you ever seen a picture of a Dead show?
I know how the microphones. Yeah,
there'll be a sea of mics by the front of house.
It looks like a oil field from the 20s.
Right. And so they're all out there recording. They were probably on Nagras, then cassettes, and then obviously DATs, and so they were called DAT heads. And so I had this preamp that my cousin Jake had actually hand assembled at Grace when he worked there. So that was my bag mixer, quote unquote, just a preamp. And then I had a Sony DAT recorder that I had bought from a local guy that
like the Walkman sized DAT recorder,
it was like a D3 or something like this,
DT7 or something. Yeah,
it was a miracle. It worked.
I had a Tascam DAP1. That was like
this thing was small. I mean, this was really a consumer size.
Yours was like a Walkman size one. Yeah,
it was like that big. It was really small.
It was unbalanced,
and all that was like in some bags that I cobbled. I mean, it was a cobbled
that
kit.
Sony DAT player wouldn't have had time code then. How did they deal with that?
No time code. No, you had to spend big money for time code DATs back in the day. The only affordable time code DAT was a Fostex. And that was like a full 3 rack space.
So what did you do to sync? You'd have to rely on the slate.
It's all slate. It's all clapper.
Yeah,
slate.
short takes.
Yeah.
Well, and ironically, that's still how they do it.
Yeah.
Like on the budget end of things, if there's no time code, a lot of the stuff where they're recording with like a Rode wireless mic and then they're shooting video on like a Sony camera or something, they still rely on just the click or the slack, the clapper.
You record scratch on the camera and then you sync it, and when it falls out of sync, you put a cut and you
Right. Yeah. The cameras all had sound because we're all using, we were using mini DV cameras, right? We were using video cameras.
The Canon was the big mini DV.
Yeah, the Canon or the Sony.
Yeah.
Panasonic actually has a really popular one at the time. So that's what we were doing that was my little window into production mixing for a while. And I did have these 3 or so rack space Fostex timecode DAT on a cart that I hauled on location with a giant marine deep cycle battery and a huge inverter. I mean, between the 3 of those, it weighed like 120 pounds. I mean, and I was hauling that on set, dragging it around. It was a miserable thing to use, but it worked.
Yeah. I used to do interviews. This would be 20 years ago now, when I was doing a syndicated radio show, and I go out and do interviews, and I used a Sony mini disc. That was my
mini disc recorder. Yeah. The mini discs were really popular in radio because and also for like theatrical production, because unlike CDs, they had instant start. If you queued a mini disc up and you hit play, it played immediately. Yep. So you could just boom, and they were popular for that reason. Yeah.
Probably because you had less traveling time because it was so small.
Yeah,
but it was fun though, having a laptop there to record live, so I could mark log shots, name files, and just sort of keep up. The big
app was Boom Recorder was a really great app in the Mac.
I used Boom Recorder for a while. Yeah,
I mean that thing is so stable. It was amazing. I'd record.
I used Reaper too, actually.
Yeah, Reaper's extremely stable. I'd use Reaper on the road, like live, before I'd use Pro Tools live.
Yeah, I record live bands. One band, they had a Mackie mixer with a FireWire port on it, and I was like, "Oh, that thing records 16 tracks." I plugged it right into my laptop.
I've done that.
Loaded Reaper and recorded right off the board in 2005 or whatever it was, But that's right. That is my roots. My roots is live recording and remote recording. It always has been. I've never had a proper studio, and I've always just made it work, know? And so it was just fun getting to do it all these years later and deliver the product. And then I just got paid. I just saw the email come in.
Nice. So, that's always the payoff.
Nice.
Full circle.
That's the best.
We both started out doing kind of live stuff. I used to have my whole studio on a table. I don't know if you did I ever tell you about this?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You used to slide it into the back of the station
exactly.
wagon.
Yeah, it was like, so I'd bring that thing around. It was like because I got so
when you
sick.
say on a table, was it like kind of bolted down?
Yeah.
To a table?
So here's exactly how it went. I used to in high school. I was recording bands on my 4-track, and then I got an 8-track at the end of high school. So I'd go over to a band's practice place, and it'd be the 8-track and all the cables and the effects boxes and the compressors, and you'd spend half the day plugging everything back in. And I got sick of it. And I was with a friend at like McDonald's, and I drew this thing. I'm like, I'm just going to set this all up. And I drew a big cartoon single plug, like one fucking outlet. That's it.
Yeah.
And he thought I was joking. And by the end of the summer, what I did is, it wasn't a door, but like this frame I built about the size of a door. And I put the Tascam 8-track smack in the middle of it. It had the mixer and the 8-track. And imagine 2 slanted racks on either side of it with one rack hovering over the middle. And a TT patch bay on one side of it. And it was DAT recorder, all the compressors, everything. And then a mic panel on the back of it with a bunch of multi-cable.
So you were doing live to 2-track then?
No, this is 8-track.
Oh, it was 8-track. Gotcha.
Yeah. This is 8-track. And then took 2 people, like 3 people to carry this thing. I remember one time we were trying to carry it into a house, and we just dumped the whole thing in the snow. Like, I was like, but then you just haul it in there and you plop it down. You're like, give me an extension cable and let's start plugging mics in. And that's like a 1 rack space box and a laptop.
So when I was in college, my friend had a Tascam 8-bus 24 or 32 channel mixer. Yeah.
The 26.
Maybe, yeah. In a road case. So it was a chunky thing, right?
Yep.
And then he also had the 8-track reel-to-reel, but I eventually convinced my professor at Virginia Tech to let me take 2 DA88s out of the studio to do remotes, which still to this day, I can't believe you let me do that. These things were like 10 grand a piece back then. And I would do remotes, but the things I had a Ford Taurus.
And the DA88s were the machine to use because unlike the ADATs, they had a 120-minute record time, and the ADATs only had 40 minutes.
Oh, that's right. I remember changing tapes at a live show. It was a nightmare.
Yeah.
And anyway, where did that rack, where did the mixer go? It went on my roof rack. So it took 3 or 4 of us to lift that console.
Oh, wow.
Not the console onto the roof rack of my car, which I would lash to the roof and then drive to the club, and then take it all apart, take it into the club, plug it in, It was so crazy.
I did a live album with a Ramza 8-bus board and 2 D88s.
Oh yeah, those were nice.
And I was like, those were a really good sounding one. Yeah,
that was Panasonic's Pro line.
Those things were sleepers. Actually, that's what Nirvana recorded Bleach on.
No way.
Yeah, those Ramza WRT.
Oh my God, the stories will never end. We have got so many because it was so much more interesting than just having a static location. And if I had the space-time budget, I would have, but we used the resources we had. It wasn't going to stop us from recording. We're just going to make it work.
It was, but also one thing I'll always say, especially when you recorded live shows, because like for instance, I still have my rig now, which is like 3 8-channel preamps, a Fostex 9624 recorder that goes a light pipe out into like a M audio box that then feeds into a computer, so you get your redundant record, and that's like a 24, 32 channel setup depending on how you do it. But you record a band live, and screw-ups, mess-ups, and all the energy is always better than what they end up doing in the studio.
Yeah. In the case of a gospel gig once, I remember we went back into the studio, had everybody come back in and do overdubs. Mm-hmm. Or not double overdubs, really, but just layers.
Yeah. Or fixing stuff. Yeah, I've done live recordings and fix them, like overdub the vocal, and then the background of the PA becomes a little bit of extra reverb for a moment because it's not quite.
Yeah, we did all that stuff. It was fun. But anyway, coming back to the roots was a blast. And I think I'll open myself up to those chance encounters from time to time instead of being, I don't do that anymore, because it was fun, and just having a safety net of a secondary recorder. I could have done it with a Passport and just, again, plugged it into my phone and had that be the backup, but I happen to have the PortCaster.
Always use what's best.
Yeah.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. I don't think I'll ever go back to my roots. I could never, ever.
Do that much cocaine ever again?
Probably not either.
Oh, Jesus, I'd be dead. Far out. You'd be burying me. Just quickly, before we go, AP, talking about cocaine and the old days, did you see on Facebook there's a photo of the old console out of SAFM? They've put it in some museum, something or somewhere.
Oh, no.
And my comment on the post was, if only that console could talk.
Yeah, thank God it can't talk.
That console was always high.
Yeah, probably still is, mate.
Yeah,
The amount that would have gone down there.
You need a high-pass filter on that one, that's for sure.
Well, that was fun. Is it over?
The Pro Audio Suite, with thanks to Tribooth and Austrian Audio. Recorded using Source Connect. Edited by Andrew Peters and mixed by Robbo. Got your own audio issues? Just ask Robbo.com. With tech support from George the Tech Whittam. Don't forget to subscribe to the show and join in the conversation on our Facebook group. To leave a comment, suggest a topic, or just say g'day, drop us a note at our website, proaudiosuite.com.